Hello everybody. So I'm going to be going over some of the basic controls of Onshape. In this demonstration, I'm going to use a practice example from your assignments, Solid Modeling Practice Figure 649 to do that. And I'm going to be going over how to create this in Onshape, some of the proper tools that we should be using, and also how we're going to be naming files and how to navigate Onshape in general. So to go ahead and start, we're going to create a document in Onshape. Create document. Naming convention is very important, as I've stressed before. In Onshape and then any kind of 3D modeling software in regards to engineering, we're going to want to make sure we name our stuff with all capital letters. So in this case, I'm going to be naming this figure underscore 6-49. Also, we also want to avoid using the space bar. We want to avoid using spaces. So you're going to create, when you're creating documents, you're going to use underscore if you're going to need to create a space. All capital letters, you can use numbers, dashes, and all that stuff, but we want to avoid spaces, and we want to have all capital letters. So I'm going to click OK here. It creates the document, loads the workspace. So this is the kind of the default workspace here in Onshape. Some of the things that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to go ahead and kind of take a quick tour here. We have the toolbar here at the top, okay, for the different types of features and sketching that we can do and different tools we get. We have the navigation over here on the right. We have the geometry here on the left. We have our planes here in the center. And then we can hold down the mouse key to turn the planes around. And again, this is only, and you should have already set your settings to Creo version for your mouse. If you haven't, go back through the guide and do that. You can zoom in and out with the wheel as well. You can pan by holding shift and holding down the wheel as well. Okay, let's go back to isometrics. I'm going to click here, isometrics. Okay, cool. We have, by default, Part Studio 1 and Assembly 1. For this example, we're not going to create an assemblies. We won't be using assemblies yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. We're not going to need that right now. We'll get to assemblies later on in the year. We start with Part Studio 1, and we'll have a part that we create in here. I'm going to rename that stuff here shortly. I'm going to go ahead and start creating the drawing first. So this is our figure we're creating. Now, when you start, you're going to want to make sure you pick an appropriate plane to start on. So I'm going to go ahead and start and use the front plane. So if I'm going to use the front plane is this, the front view of the object. It's important to pick a plane that will end up good for a good plane and a good view to work in your drawing. So if you're going to pick your front view, make sure you pick a view. I wouldn't pick this as the front view from this direction. I would pick something that's going to end up working well later once we create drawings later on. So I'm going to go ahead and make this the front view. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my figure. So I'm going to select the front plane. Okay. The N key will bring the plane to front, so that way it's normal to your view. And you can also achieve this by just clicking the plane over here, front, and then it brings you in. You can also right click on the plane and set it to normal, view normal to, and it brings it there. The shortcut key is the N key as well. So I like to kind of use the N key to do that. N key brings it forward. So while that plane is selected, we need to sketch on this plane. You can also select over here as well. So real quick, let me go back here. So I can select from the top view, I can select from the front view and the right view. So I want to sketch on the front view. Okay, I'm going to bring it normal. Oh, I had the right selected, excuse me. Front view, normal. And then we're going to sketch on this plane. Okay, we've created sketch 1. Now, I kind of like to, because you can still see the planes here, and you see the origin, and you see the other axes of the planes. I kind of like to hide the planes at this point. You can hide planes by clicking P, the P key on your keyboard. Okay. At this point, we're going to go ahead and sketch. So what I'm going to do is kind of, I need to pick where the origin is going to be for your figure. So I'm going to kind of say that this point right here in the bottom left-hand corner is going to be the origin. And I'm just going to kind of draw this out. I'm not going to worry about dimensioning right now. So I'm going to use this line tool at the top. So the toolbars change for sketching purposes. I'm going to have the line tool selected. And I'm going to draw a line vertically here. So kind of like AutoCAD, it'll snap to 90-degree increments. So I'm just going to make sure it's going up vertically here. And I'm just going to draw this figure, not worrying about dimensions. I'm only going to be worrying about making sure things are horizontal and vertical right now. And so I'm going to kind of snap there so it's at the origin and that. So I get that. Okay? All right. Hit escape to stop sketching lines. And now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go ahead and dimension. So I'm going to use the dimension here tool, and I'm going to dimension my figure. So it is 8.88 thick here, and this edge here is 2.5. By default, my units are inches. If you ever need to change your units, you're going to do so in the menu and workspace units, but this figure is in inches already, so it's already set, ready to go. Okay. I'm going to set the thickness in between here is 0.88 as well. So what I'm going to do with the dimension key, I'll select this line, and then I'll drop down and select this line, and so then you can set that 0.88. Okay. I want to set 6.8, so from this edge to this edge. So what I'll do, I'll select this edge, and then I'll select this edge, and I'm going to just drop it down here, 6.8. Okay. And then we need this thickness here, 0.88. So here, 0.88. Okay. And what are we missing? We are missing 1.62. 1.62. At this point, we're fully dimensioned. All my lines are black, so that means they're fully dimensioned. When they were blue, they're not fully dimensioned. So we want to make sure everything's fully dimensioned first. Okay. Everything's fully dimensioned. We're good to go. We can exit the sketch. Okay. I'm going to bring up my plane just so you guys can kind of see. So there's that sketch there on that plane. Okay. At this point, we want to extrude. We're going to extrude this sketch. So clicking extrude, we can then select the sketch. So we're going to extrude this sketch a certain distance. You can pick the direction of the extrude, this way or that way, based on where the origin is. So I'm going to kind of extrude it this way. We can select the depth of the extrude. We don't want it 1 inch thick. We want it 2.62 inches thick. So I'm going to change this to 2.62. Okay. You have some more options here for blinds or symmetric. Symmetric means it's the sketch is in the middle of the extrude, so we're extruding equal ends. The total distance of 2.62. We can extrude up to the next surface if you have other parts, other faces. You can extrude up to a vertex. Through all is useful for cutting a hole. So we're extruding through the entire part. We're just going to do a blind 2.62 is fine, and I'm going to click OK. We always want to make sure it's solid model. Okay. And there's our part. I can hide planes again if I like. All set. It's called part 1. I can even go in over here and I can edit the appearance if I like, set it to a color. But that's our part. Done. Problem is, it's called part 1. We don't want that. So there's two ways to name parts. We can right-click up here, or click up here at the top, and we're going to go to Workspace Properties. And then you should see everything in the workspace, the Part Studio 1 and Part 1. Okay, so there's Part Studio 1, there's Part 1. And what we're going to end up doing is we can also set the names through Properties here. Part Studio 1, same idea, and the part. And we're going to make sure we name this part appropriately. We're going to call it figure underscore 649. And we'll apply. And we're going to make sure that the part name is also this. And again, all capitalized. The description here, you can use spaces in the description at this point. So I'm going to make sure that's set there. Part numbers we'll get to later. Revisions, if there's other versions, I'm going to leave this as 1. And then we're not going to worry about filling in the rest. We'll hit apply. And that is it. Part is completed.